Hi, I'm Jen Bankard with the BTN Group, and I am here with Derek Sharp, who's the COO of RoomIt with CWT. Derek, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jen. It's great to be here.
Excellent. So I've been asking everyone the same question to start off with. Why was it important for CWT, RoomIt, you, Derek Sharp, to have a presence at this year's Business Travel Show Europe?
It's just so important for us to be back together. I mean, I think we've done amazing things over the last year in terms of virtual meetings or, working through this pandemic and the challenges together. But we're all about travel. We're all about helping people get to where they need to be, whether that's internal travel, whether it's selling a new product or service. And, the buzz that's been here, everybody seems to feel that same energy and excitement about being back out there. And so for us, whether it was being here for our customers, for our partners, being here in person was incredibly exciting. And we saw that yesterday when we got here. The buzz was palpable.
Absolutely. The buzz has been great. So you're obviously a hotel guy, RoomIt. So talk to me about some of the hotel accommodations trends you've been seeing over the recent months and what you'll see maybe continue into next year.
Well, obviously on the hotel side, they had to reduce costs dramatically during the pandemic. Everyone did. And so I think the challenge now is you'll see that they're trying to figure out how do you raise that cost base back up where they need to meet service levels. And it's a challenge. And you see hotels that maybe aren't doing the changing the room every day, or breakfast is not being served. And so I think it's important that you communicate with travelers and manage expectations, let them know what's coming. On our corporate travel side, on our client side, travel's coming back, but it's not a linear equation, right? It's different by market or different by kind of parts of their business. So they're trying to figure out, where can they plan, where can they commit to, volumes. And even the patterns of stay are changing. Patterns of stay probably consistent, but when people book, right? So if you go back to 2019, we saw there's probably less than 20% of travelers would book 2 days out, right, or less. That got up to like 40% at the beginning of the year. And so that's a lot of uncertainty, but people are trying to figure out, can I travel, right? And what are the restrictions and is it allowed? And so that number is starting to come down, but it's still probably 30% today. And so for the clients to kind of manage that and know what's coming when and how they get get their travelers the right information, it's a challenge. We're getting there.
Absolutely. So I want to go back to, admittedly, yes, there are some challenges related to staffing, service levels, but we are an industry that is about people. It's about our travelers. And so we talk about the importance of the traveler experience, trying to re-educate our travelers, help them manage their expectations. But at the end of the day, we also do want them to have, a trip that's comfortable, that meets their needs. So have you seen any really good examples of how, and again, not naming names, but maybe any examples of how certain properties are making accommodations and making adjustments that they need to make to keep their business going, but are still providing for a really enhanced customer experience in this day and age?
Well, let's put it this way. Before the pandemic, the topic of sustainability, for example, was a big one. And so properties and chains were wanting to make sure that they were communicating the activities that they were going through to make sure that they were holding a high bar around sustainability. That got put into the background a bit. With the pandemic, it's come back very quickly. And so they're wanting to make sure that whether it's at the brand level or individual properties, that they're clear around how they're trying to be a positive force, in the industry. Things like cleanliness, making sure that very clear on not just kind of COVID standards and COVID cleaning, but overall how they make sure that people are comfortable traveling. We see a lot of our hotel partners that are going out of their way, once again, at the high level, kind of corporate level, but down to individual properties, being very clear that you're going to be comfortable when you're there because they've taken care of all of that. And they want to make sure that, once again, the experience is a positive one.
Absolutely. And so I think one of the things that can often help create a positive traveler experience are things related to enhancements in technology, different sort of digital innovations. What are some innovations that you've seen happen in this space, and maybe they've been driven out of necessity, or maybe they were already on certain brands' roadmaps that are, again, really going to benefit the customer experience moving forward?
Well, one of the things, and once again, this was even pre-pandemic, but contactless experience. So whether that's for you're getting into your room with a door key, or whether that's for the check-in or things like that, and the use of more and more on your mobile, I think is going to be incredibly important. And that's because of Once again, cleanliness and safety reasons, but also just because of convenience. People want to be able to use, that device to do a lot of stuff. For us, the technology is around on the content side, making sure that they can get all the content, through that device, and whether that's corporate negotiated rates, that the company has worked to make sure it's available, or we can bring aggregator rates or other local content. It can't come across in a disjointed fashion. People are not going to go hunt for that. They want to know that they're getting the best deal, the best content, the best rate, and that it's readily accessible. And so that's been the trend that's only kind of accelerated, I think, through the pandemic.
Great. Let's talk about some of the other trends we're seeing in the industry, especially related to the future of work. And, we were talking earlier about, people going back to the office. Sometimes it's happening, sometimes it's not. I think companies are seeing a more distributed workforce, so they may need to use space differently going forward. And that might be meeting space that actually may be individual employees, maybe actually needing a hotel room for a day to use as a workspace. So what kind of trends are you seeing with your customers around that area?
Yeah, there was a lot, kind of go back a year ago, around just rethinking the whole concept of space, right? Whether it's getting into the office or, like you said, I need to travel, but it's very irregular, it's hard to plan, and it may be for a very short period of time. So there were creative, ideas that were put out there in terms of hotels offering their space for meetings as opposed to just, staying there overnight. Maybe apartments that were being used for short term as opposed to a hotel, just people being kind of out of the crowd and maybe feeling safer. I think those types of trends are going to continue, but it'll kind of complement kind of what you think of as the core travel experience. So do I think that everyone's going to stay in an apartment in the future as opposed to a hotel? No. I think that it's going to be something that, whether it's an Airbnb or other complementary providers, they're going to be out there looking for ways that they can help, especially the business travelers in those areas, whether it's an out-of-the-way market or whether it's something that they've got kind of a unique concept that they're putting out there, including unique space that you can use for meetings, small meetings especially, and things that can be booked quickly. So once again, back to the technology, if I can look out there and say, hey, within a day or two, I can find something in London where I can get my 10 people on my team together and in a space where I feel comfortable and it's somewhat fun, I think people are going to be looking for that more and more than just maybe a traditional meeting space.
Do you see any potential trends in terms of hotel amenities? Like, again, I think about how so many of us have, rethought many different aspects of our lives and have thought about what's important, whether it's our health, time with families. I think about, people who've really taken advantage of, being home and being able to exercise a lot more. And you think about going back out on the road, wanting to continue, staying healthy. Hotel gyms are traditionally pretty small rooms and people now want space. Like, do you just see things starting to shift to sort of complement what travelers might want outside of sort of the traditional hotel room?
I think absolutely. And once again, that was happening even before, right? All of this happened over the last year or so because hotels are wanting to differentiate themselves. And part of it's limited by space. So like you said, that gym is generally pretty small, pretty dark. But just being creative around, is it access to a yoga mat? Is it, online materials or programs that they can offer, and not that expensive, right? And things that they can do that differentiate themselves. I think that'll continue, but it'll have to be done once again in this umbrella of, can you do it in a way where the travelers feel safe, feel like they can take advantage of those services without putting themselves at risk. And so it's finding that balance, but they're definitely working to do it.
Great. All right. So it's just about time to wrap up, Derek. Any final words that you want to share with the audience before we say farewell today?
No, just excited to be back. I mean, we've seen, gradual return to travel over the last probably 6 months. From kind of April to July of this year, we saw our hotel bookings up by 50%. So it's just wonderful to see things coming back. And it's not a linear progression. There's ups and downs, but we're moving in the right direction. It's great to be here again.
Great. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me today and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks.